young man in his 20s, his black hair neat and proper, eating a sandwich with delicate precision. If only everyone would eat like that. With a sigh, she turned back to the queue and waited her turn. Once she'd selected a meal and drink and had it settled on her tray, she turned back to the room to find somewhere to sit. She'd decided on a toasted sandwich and chips, regrettably not something she could carry outside. She tongued the inside of her lip for a few heartbeats, her gaze pulled magnetically towards the sensibly eating man and his dark-haired female companion. The man stood, his lunch apparently finished, and he made his way through the busy tables, leaving his seat unoccupied. Mel shook her head so her hair fell behind her shoulders and scanned the canteen for another seat. Nothing. A few other people were looking too, so she scooted towards the vacated seat quickly, approaching with what she hoped was an apologetic look. "Sorry, nowhere else to sit. Mind?" The brunette looked up from behind large black-rimmed glasses and showed no suggestion of disagreeing or that she was even interested. Mel gave her a tight smile in response and slid into the seat, her tray landing haphazardly on the table in front of her. The woman looked at Mel, then at the tray, and back at Mel. "She's pretty." Mel flicked her eyebrows up once in acknowledgement of the fact. "I suppose as we're spending lunch together," she said, chuckles bubbling up in her throat, "I ought to introduce myself." She held out her hand. "Melissa." The other woman stared at her, the fork that held a mouthful of salad hovering by her mouth. Mel cleared her throat awkwardly, but continued to hold her hand out, with the opinion that sometimes one needed to wait a little while for another person to find their manners. "Ruby Clark." She put her fork carefully into the plastic box in front of her and took Mel's hand. "Nice to meet you." Northern accent. Mel tried not to grin too widely. Ruby's wide eyes suggested that she wasn't the most outgoing of people, perhaps unused to having complete strangers introduce themselves. Mel did it every single day in her job, and it was therefore a matter-of-fact issue for her. "Call me Mel, though." Their hands fell away. "Sorry, should have said." She tried to add lightness to her voice and lowered her gaze to her food. "Have I made a terrible choice, or are the chips here as good as they look?" "They're not bad. Not that I advocate fried food in any sense." Ruby eyed Mel's food with disdain, so Mel plucked a chip from her plate and munched cheekily. Ruby's gaze lowered back to her salad. "Well, it's not a normal day for me," Mel shrugged. "I'm here for the open day." "Are you?" Ruby seemed mildly interested now, and Mel was pleased. She's intriguing. I might as well include her in some topic that takes her fancy. "Looking at doing my ECP training." "Oh." She stopped talking with her mouth full and swallowed, patting her finger against her plate. "ECP stands for Emergency Care Practitioner. I know." "Oh, good. Saves me explaining." "I'm an anatomy lecturer, not a moron." Ruby's clipped words held a trace of humour, but they made Mel catch herself all the same. "Do you teach any of the ECP modules?" Mel asked politely, pushing away the desire to tease and joke. I don't think she's that kind of person. "No, mostly nursing students, if you can call them that." Ruby carefully speared a tomato piece and ate it, her mouth working slowly. Mel shifted her gaze to her own food, not wanting to stare. Ruby placed her fork down and took a paper napkin, pressing it to each corner of her mouth. Her large, dark eyes seemed to study Mel, her thick eyebrows pushed down just a bit. "So, you're from a nursing background yourself?" "No, paramedic through and through."